Hello. Yesterday I mentioned that this week we are going to be working on setting our goals. And the first thing I want to do to initiate setting our goals is actually sit in silence in meditation for just a brief minute so that we can make everything come from a clear place inside, but also give us a moment to connect with ourselves so that we can feel self-sufficient within. So that as we set our goals, they are something exciting and interesting to bring into our lives. So we don't get caught in a feeling of lack. So we take this time for just a moment to feel the full presence and the depth and the completeness that is already within ourselves. Wherever you are, sit up nice and tall, long spine, and sit in some way where your legs can be relaxed. Relax your shoulders down your back and keep your heart open. Lift from the top back the crown of your head, and even close your eyes. Gaze just slightly upwards under closed eyelids. And first, just feel the sensation of the cool air entering the nostrils and the warm air leaving the nostrils. Knowing that each breath is the most important thing to sustain you in each moment in this human existence. Feel the expansion of your belly as you inhale, like a balloon, expanding in all directions and relaxing back in as you exhale. Feel the depth of your breath and the bigger parts of your body move to create space for the breath to fill your body. Belly expanding and relaxing back in. Notice the sensations and the feeling of the movement of the body and the breath touching the body. I do all this as reminders to love yourself and to feel the completeness within yourself. To take a moment to detach from anything outside of you so that nothing runs your life but the choice that you make in each moment. And this is where we get to decide those choices of those goals that you will set. When we live in a place of wanting, we can't live in a place of having. This was from one of my teachers. She said this a lot. Those two are mutually exclusive. Sometimes as we set goals, it's almost a reminder of what we don't have, and we stay in a place of wanting. So what I want to do with you is play with the quantum field where all time exists now, and imagine that we already have what we want. But also to start that, before you even start writing out what your goals will be, create a list of all the things you have in your life right now that you are grateful for. Create a complete and full list. And remember that abundance in any one area is about flow of energy. And notice the areas in life where you do have abundance. So it's not just about money, right? It's also about the people in your life, the feelings that you feel, the accomplishments that you've made, the objects in your life, the scenery and beautiful nature that's around you, or the wonderful development and genius of buildings and products and intelligence that just comes into your home, of all the amazing creations that this world has created. We have very, very abundant lives. And there's an unlimited capacity to create more and more of that abundance in our lives. think of those areas as you write that list of gratitude where you are already abundant, where you are already successful, accomplished, and talented. And what are those skill sets that you use in those areas? How can you apply those to the areas where you don't have what you want yet? But as you create this goal list, we're going to imagine, like I said, that we already have those things that we want. One of the other things I'm going to do with you this week to create the goal list is work with both the right and the left brain. So we work with the creative elements and the very practical guidelines of what we need to set up very clear goals and create a very clear statement to the universe. So if you walk into the ice cream shop and you say, I want ice cream, the person behind the counter may give you vanilla, but what you really wanted was chocolate. So when you get the ice cream, you have to ask for chocolate ice cream. So that's what we're going to be doing, is being very specific about our goals. But when we get so specific, we can also be very rigid. And we might maybe touch into more of the masculine concept. So what I'm going to do with you is allow you to bring in the creative elements as well. And this is just one idea and one project here. You're really going to adapt this however you want. But what I've started to do as well is develop a group coaching program. Of course, you can work with me one-on-one also. And that way I'll continue to tie in both the creative or the feminine aspect with the masculine aspect of goal setting. So that's what's pretty fun. Now, what materials do you need? I would recommend getting some little nice notebook that you really love the way it looks and the way it feels. If you're into textures, you can think about the way it feels. And then I like to use all of these colored pens, and I'm going to say pens rather than pencils because we're going to set everything in stone. Nothing can be erased. This is definitely the proclamation that we're making of what we want. For the creative element, you can grab a bunch of magazines and pick magazines that really appeal and apply to the areas of your life that you have interest in and are involved in. And these are magazines you're going to be cutting up. So then, of course, you'll want some scissors and some glue for this project. The other thing to do beforehand is to pick the main topics that you want to set goals on. Now, of course, if we overdo all of the goals, even though we might want so many things in our lives, it's not going to be achievable. And the way that I've done this is I've picked different areas of life, whether it's by more general ideas like health or wealth or relationships, or specific projects that you're involved with. For instance, I'm working on my first book and I have ideas for other books in the future. And then I want to get back into performing dance, so I made an area for dance. And then one day I might want to do some singing, so I created a section for voice. And then I'll visually show you what I've done here. But the first page actually says already done, because that's also playing with the quantum field and feeling the sense of satisfaction when something is already completed, when it's already a part of our lives. So we can start to think about the idea of having as more of a feeling or an experience than the actual material reality. That tends to be what's more important to us anyways, is how we feel inside. So we're also going to include visualization in the process. And then the first category, what I've done, this is about me. And we'll get into more detail about what that means, but you could think about any personal areas that you're developing just within your own self, not having to do with anything outside of you. And that's a nice place to start with. And I've done some cutouts from the magazine here, and on the other page, creating a very specific goal. This is something with numbers, with timeline, with the amount, however specific you can get, right? So that's the more masculine, left-brained energy there. And then my next one was for my books, because this is one of my most important projects right now. So think about what projects you're working on. One of the other areas that I'm working on is getting into speaking. And well, I'm already doing that, but getting into more of that. The next one is relationship. And for me, that is a relationship with a male in a romantic way. And I actually made an extra space for that one because I created a definition of what that feels like, what the experience is like. And then I'm also involved with another project with the new Tycoon app. Some of you might have heard me mention that. The next one is health. So that's one that should apply to all of us. And the next one, I titled it Financial Freedom, but whatever your financial goals are, that could be that area. Then I did a social category. And mind you, I had an intention of the order of priorities, and then I accidentally glued some things onto the wrong page. So now they're just in whatever the divine order is that they're in, but you can choose to create an order that works for you. So I mentioned dance. I didn't write in the goals yet for dance because that's not one of my major goals for this year. And if I write too many goals, it'll stress me out because I get worried about the lack of the goal not being accomplished. And we want to keep this fun and achievable. So I want to continue to travel. Traveling tends to happen naturally, but I also didn't write this down because this year I'm in a little bit more flow with the traveling that happens versus picking the exact places that I want to go. Although I am planning to go to Bali in the fall. That'll be a big one. So I put voice here for the singing, and again, that's not a goal this year. And then I put the houses and good design. I'm enjoying having the property that I have right now, and I would like to set up more investment properties or Airbnbs or special homes as retreats for people to come and heal and feel a nice sense of peacefulness within them. But again, that doesn't have to be a goal for this year. But since I came across the cutting in the magazine, I thought I might as well put that in there. And it helps relax me so I don't have to remember everything in my mind when we put it in paper. But when we write something down, it creates the next level of manifestation, of bringing something to reality. The last thing you can do to prepare for this week is just a random way of cutting out the words and pictures from magazines that inspire you. And I would recommend not putting them in your book just yet, but just starting to cut them out. But make sure that you pick out the categories that you would like and choose the order that you're going to put them in your book. And so just do the general idea for each category. And as we go throughout the week, we'll touch on a few of these different categories to help you develop those areas and get really specific for what is helpful right now. And Don, I see your question, where do I want the properties? I am not planning that at the moment, but that's a discussion that we could have in a few months or next year. Thank you for checking in on that. And I am working on some projects actually that have come up, including a development project in Australia. If you want to know more about that, you can contact me. And anyways, back to the idea of goal setting. What I want to do is close out with a visualization. And each time we're going to be visualizing the specific goal, but right now our goal is to start creating our goals. So go ahead and close your eyes again. And just imagine that beautiful book in front of you, getting filled up with beautiful, wonderful, nourishing ideas of these amazing, creative things to bring into your life, to fulfill, to manifest. And just feel the feeling right now of what it feels like to enter all that information into your book. And then also look at the visual of yourself actually cutting things out of your magazine and writing or drawing in your book and writing in those specific goals. You can feel the tactile of actually cutting and gluing and writing on your book. Maybe listening to the sounds of the paper that moves or the sounds in your environment around you. And just stay with that visualization, tuning into any one of those senses, feeling yourself full with breath, so that you combine the breath that we felt earlier with all of those visuals, all of those sensations, moving with the breath. And as the breath expands to its fullness, all of those concepts expand to their fullness within your being. And then as you exhale, we release whatever it is that you could say is in our past that no longer needs to be in our present. We release whatever may block us from achieving and from feeling and experiencing what we want to feel in life. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I see another one there, so I'll answer that a little bit later. And then tomorrow we'll meet again at noon, and we will start with, let's see, the first category we're going to do is ourself, actually, and our personal development. That one will be for tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Many blessings to you. Bye-bye.